Welcome to the Home Services Success Stories podcast powered by Peakzi, the #1 AI platform for growing your home services business. I'm Julian Placino, your host, and we have another exciting show in store for you today because today we have Ari Abramson, who is the founder and owner of Three Guys AC and Electrical. Ari, welcome to the show. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
We're doing really good and excited to get to know your story and how you became a home services leader. So let's jump in. So, Ari, take us to the beginning. How did Three Guys get started? What's the origin story of the business?
So originally we started three friends. We were working out of the house, working out of the garage. We really started the company. We saw there was a huge demand for a professional organization that in a moment of stress, in a moment of emergency, when your AC breaks down in Florida in the middle of the summer, you need someone right now. You want someone that is reliable, trustworthy, professional. And we kind of saw that you kind of had the two extremes. You had either like a big private equity company that does $100 million a year and they can get to you 24/7, but they might lack certain morals or ethics. They just have a different type of priority in what drives them. And then on the other hand, you had your mom and pop shops, which tend to be booked out 2-3 weeks when you need them.
Hmm.
So we really wanted to try and find that silver lining of a company that could be professional and care at the same time. And we saw a huge demand for that. So we decided to start our own business. And over time, we ended up growing. I actually ended up buying out the two other partners. And now I'm basically the only person driving the boat here. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's a lot of fun for me.
What a story. How long ago was that when you founded the business?
We founded the business in January of 2019. So
29.
as of right now, it's our 7-year anniversary.
7-year anniversary. Well, congratulations. And again, the genesis was it were y'all starting it from scratch? Was there an acquisition
Yes.
involved or how did
No, it was from scratch. It was everything from the bottom up. Um, I didn't know how marketing worked. I had no idea how phone systems worked. I didn't know how the software for dispatching worked. It was all really new and exciting to me. I love learning. And I can tell you that today we're way past that point. We're, pretty advanced when it comes to systems and processes. But it was a beautiful experience to kind of really from seed to fruit.
Fascinating. So what was your background before? What were you doing before you founded Three Guys?
I was in logistics, so I'm all about strategy and coordination and communication. So that's kind of where my strengths are. I try and apply like, okay, we got X amount of jobs that need to get done, different timelines. How do we make it make the most sense? How do we move things around? How do we really manage to take care of everybody at the same time?
Interesting. So how did you settle in home services and specifically electrical coming from logistics?
So HVAC and electrical, we originally started with HVAC. Basically, I fell in love with Florida and I wanted to kind of start over. It's kind of funny because it's not the most accurate decision to make, but basically, I wanted to position myself in a place where I can have something consistent and reliable and have more life work balance so I could potentially start a family. And it definitely takes up just as much time as the logistics. So, but we're getting there. And one of the partners, he had a bunch of experience in HVAC, and he was like, "Why don't we start a HVAC company down in Florida? Air conditioning. They need it all the time." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not against the idea. Let's run it."
Makes sense. So you partnered with someone who had the technical skill in the trades and you kind of brought sort of that business mind,
Correct.
logistical aspect. So I am curious about your background in logistics. How do you think that's influenced the way that you have run and grown the business?
So I can tell you that my strengths in logistics, that was more of like a proving ground. I served in the military and it was in the Israeli Special Forces. And I
Mm.
can tell you that that's really what molded me and built me on a professional level, right? It's like, listen, accountability is everything. Communication is A1. Like you got a problem, you got to communicate. You don't understand something, you got to ask again. You got to make it clear that you need to make sure you're doing things. There's doing something and doing something properly is not the same,
Mm.
right? So, um, that's something that really built me, and I try and bring the same lessons and skills from there and
Mhm.
apply it here because, I mean, if you want it or not, when again someone's AC goes out or their power goes out in their house, this is to them, it's a crisis. And if we can get there as soon as possible and solve the problem as soon as possible, that's how we want to treat it. We want to treat it with the same urgency that the customer has.
Interesting. So the background logistics, also like the military and also leadership experience as well, bringing all that into the trades. I love it. What a story. So, started in 2019. How many employees today?
Today we're about 22, 23.
22, 23. What were those first early years like, getting your first couple of customers and kind of trying to build a base?
Oh my God, it was a roller coaster. A lot of learning, which, like I said, good thing I like doing that. For us, we just kind of, we jumped into the deep end, uh, especially for me coming from another industry. And it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of R&D, right? Research and development. You try something new, it doesn't work. You try something else, it does. You keep it, you adjust. Um, and I can tell you that, specifically understanding the different nuances of the industry um, really was the biggest thing. Figuring out how to work with the different building departments, how to figure out, what's new code, old code, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, how to find the information. A lot of different cities, they don't really post too much data or information for you, and building the relationships, understanding customers' pain points. When we first started, our main thing was get you up and running as soon as possible, right? So we'd run into your house, immediately diagnose the issue, find the failed part, replace it, put our hand to the vent. Hey, cool, it's cooling, we're good to go, and we bounce. We probably spent on average like 30, 40 minutes in a customer's house.
Hmm.
And we've come to learn that's not the best approach. The best approach is actually to really come in, talk with the customer, build rapport, find their pain points, ask qualifying questions, right? Like, have you had any repairs done on this unit in the past? Maybe there's an underlying issue that keeps causing different types of failures, and that's just the symptoms. In the end of the day, you might decide to go with the minimal repair, but that's your decision, and you should be able to make the decision based off an educated decision, right? Knowing this is what we found, this is what you have going on with the different issues with the unit, or different ways you can upgrade or do preventative stuff. And yeah, and then our job's just to educate you on what those options are, and then it's your decision to figure out, what makes the most sense for you.
Yeah, so kind of from just a break fix to a more comprehensive, what's the underlying issue, comprehensive solution for the customer. So go into that a bit more because I know that's part of your secret sauce that you have prioritized technical excellence and customer satisfaction over high pressure sales. That's not the way for some home services businesses, right? But why
Correct.
has that been the bedrock of your approach?
We are huge on long term. So we'll sacrifice short term gain over long term gain all day, all day. We're here for the long run. We're here for a long time. We're not going anywhere. My, as a company, our goal is not to just run up the revenue and get the EBITDA up and then sell to private equity. Our goal is really to create a stable, long term, career focused place for employees and for customers. Um, and to do that, you really have to invest in the technicians, and the technicians have to invest in the customers, and then we have to do what's right. And what's right is to figure out the whole picture, present it to you, educate you, let you know what you have going on, what the different solutions may look like. And then our job is to find that common ground between you and us, right? What makes sense for you, what makes sense for us. If it doesn't make sense for you, we're not doing our job right. And if it's not doesn't make sense for us, then we won't last long, right? So we got to find that common ground. And the main thing is when we're at a customer's house, it's not us versus the customer. We're working hand in hand with the customer to find their different solutions. I mean, if you have any type of restriction, we're here to try and find the solution for you still. Like if you have a financial restriction or a time restriction or anything, code restriction, we're here. We're holding your hand. We're not going to drop you. We're not going to drop the ball. And we're here to really support you and guide you throughout this whole process from A to Z.
So it kind of sounds like you make them a very collaborative partner in the whole problem solving process, educating
Exactly.
them from start to finish and also giving them options so they're not being forced upon, but they're, giving you their consent as far as how they want to go the approach. I think that's great. You, of course, talked about your team. And as you know, in home services, you're really only as good as your team, right? So tell
Oh,
us a
yeah.
bit about your team and what makes them great.
So we are very picky. There is a huge labor shortage in this industry. And what happens is most companies, they can't get enough technicians. So they started lowering the standard so that they can get someone in that van and get to the customers. So it's a catch 22 because come the summer, customer wants you there right now. They want you there yesterday, right? But there's just not enough technicians to really satisfy that need. So a lot of people start just kind of lowering their standards from, who they put in the van and let them wear the uniform and represent the company. We rather be short on labor and have quality than, so hey, if we can get to you today or tomorrow, but when we come, we're sending the right person. We're sending someone that is qualified, that's going to really take care of you. And we just do not let go of that at all. Like we do not sacrifice the quality of the people at any point. That is by far our biggest asset is the company culture that is created by the employees. We come in to do it properly, do it right, take care of the customer, take care of the company, and mainly really focus on long-term approaches. So that's our huge advantage is we do not, and sometimes people change, maybe I'll hire somebody and 2 years down the line, they got some personal stuff going on and it kind of is starting to affect the quality of their work. I tell them straight up, hey man, why don't you just kind of take some time off, go get that handled, and when you're ready to come and operate at our standard and level, talk to me. But I can't be, it's not fair to the customer that I'm sending you and your head is somewhere else.
I think that's great. So not sacrificing quality for growth or revenue. Like you're willing
Yeah.
to sort of not be able to meet the total market demand, if that means sacrificing quality. So go into that a bit. What is your hiring process like? How do you recruit, hire, train to ensure that you have the best technicians possible?
So number one is to try and get as many applications through the funnel as possible, right? You want to kind of you don't want to pick between 10, you want to pick between 100, 200, 300 applications. So, I mean, we're all over Indeed. We've ran ads on Facebook for recruiting. We use a lot of referrals. A lot of our guys, they're the top guys in different companies they worked at, and they know a lot of people from the industry. And just through that, we have a lot of top talent that are trying to come and knock on our door due to the fact that we've actually already attracted some of the top people from their previous companies. So I can tell you that once you really get a couple high caliber people in the company, other people who have worked with them in the past, they're like, wait, hold on. You're telling me three guys have this guy, and this guy? Like, that's a winning team. That's the A team right there. Like, I want to be a part of that. So we have right now a huge advantage that we already possess top talent. Um, and I can tell you that the original people that we brought on there, high caliber, top talent, top performers, to attract that initial person, that was not easy. We had to build an existing reputation. We were a 5.0 on Google with multiple hundred reviews. And they bought into the vision. They understood that we're trying to build something long term. We're not trying to sell to private equity. Some people might not be aware, but a lot of companies, when they sell to private equity, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but every time that whole ownership and management changes,
Mhm.
it really shakes things up for the rest of the employees in that organization. And sometimes it just changes just enough to the point where they're not aligned anymore with those same employees, or certain employees aren't aligned anymore with that organization. And they try to find something that's more aligned. And that's where we try and come in. We try and really align ourselves to attract the best type of person that is trying to be the best version of themselves professionally and personally.
So a few things I heard. Number one, just opening up that aperture really wide, getting as many applications as possible. You
Mm-hmm.
also started with a great kind of a critical mass of really top level talent. And that in
Mm-hmm.
itself is a great recruiting tool. It shows a level of credibility of, hey, this company can retain great talent. What would it be like if I worked there, right? So I think those are really great points. So when it comes to that, you've also expanded your offering. You've gone from just straight HVAC and electrical and now into plumbing. So why did you make the decision to do this?
So what we found actually is that um, even though it's the hardest thing to find is someone who's experienced and is skilled in the trades,
Hmm.
on an organizational level, the hardest thing is actually to to build out the systems and processes.
Mm.
If it's how to find the customer, how to, acquire the customer, how to set up the whole process from from when they call us to us showing up, diagnosing, presenting options, doing the actual work, collecting payment, follow-ups, um, retaining the customer long term. That's the hardest part as an organization. And when you set a certain standard of expectations, right? That's where it's like that's easy to duplicate across the trades. So, for example, our hiring process is going to be very similar for HVAC, electrical, or plumbing, right? The
Mhm.
first thing is we want to make sure that you're not someone that just bounces around between jobs every 3 months. It's someone that actually goes to a company, is there for a while, does everything he can to make it work. So 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a company, that they had good results. And the reason that they're changing isn't because they're not good at their job, but maybe because the company's just stagnant, is not investing in the employees, maybe is becoming a little less ethical, and that the employee wants somewhere where he can feel good working there. So we try and attract all those different characteristics. Um, and Yeah.
Okay. So the evolution it continues, right? So zero to 22 team members in business now for 6, 7 years, becoming certainly a leader in the space. So now the next step is you're currently going through a rebrand and you're rebranding under Three Guys Master Tradesmen. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Tell us the reasoning for this.
All right, so there's two reasons. The first one is actually very practical. We don't want to have to keep changing the name every time we add a trade. Uh,
Right.
we started off Three Guys AC, then we became Three Guys AC and Electrical, then it's going to be Three Guys AC and Plumbing, and etc. And it's just like the name's getting too long, and having to change it every time, it's starting to the point where it doesn't really make sense because for a marketing point of view, your name over time builds authority online, and that helps you with the algorithm if it's on Google or Omni Marketing. Omni Marketing is like all the AI search engines, right? Um, so every time you change your name, it actually drops your ranking for a little while, and it takes you a while to bounce back. So we want to stay on top on every aspect, and so yeah, that's reason number one. Reason number two is we want to make it very clear on our intent, and our standard.
Hmm.
We do not just send sales guys to your house. A lot of companies do this. They'll hire some guy that was selling life insurance last week, has never touched an AC, and now he's selling you units at your house.
Hmm.
They are very skilled salesmen. Can't take that away from them. That is a skill. Good for them. But if you're not familiar with ACs or how that works, how can you offer a homeowner that knows just as much or less than you what's their best options, right? And how can you guarantee that's actually going to solve their problem? A lot of people misdiagnose the issue. Their AC might be fine, but their ductwork might be undersized. And here comes the insurance agent and sells you a new AC, same issue, but now you just spent 15 grand on it.
Yeah.
No problem has been solved. So we really send out there top of the top talent, people who really know what they're talking about. We're huge on trainings and certifications. Our guys are like the top guys in the industry in our area. And that's kind of our goal. We want that if you call multiple companies, that by far we are the best thing that's happened to you today.
I love it. So the practical aspect, and now really just leading first with the talent and really
Yes.
kind of trying to break the mold of these people coming to your house and trying to sell you a bunch of services, but focusing on the technical excellence, which was very core early on. I think
Yes.
that's a great, it makes total sense. So you mentioned marketing a few times, and we're here now. You're a customer
Yeah.
of Peakzi. Peakzi has great
Yes.
application when it comes to that. So if you would share with our viewers, in your experience, what is Peakzi?
Pixie is a omni marketing platform. But what's really interesting with them is that they try and leverage the AI stuff beyond just marketing. They've tried to identify the different pain points that contractors like our company experience, which is labor shortages, getting customers through the to call or reach out, book an appointment, and then also keeping our finger on the pulse. Sometimes there's the industry, the market, Google, marketing, AI, it's constantly evolving and changing. So, sometimes your phones are blowing up and then sometimes your phones are crickets, and it gives you peace of mind that Pixie has this amazing feature where you can actually compare yourself to your competition and see kind of like the call volume or how busy they are versus how busy you are. Because sometimes, it's easy to blame the seasonality, elections, the holidays, but then you get a little doubtful. You can go to Peakzi, you look it up, and like, oh, we're actually doing pretty good, in comparison. Or no, we're not. Something's wrong. We need to identify what just happened. Maybe something happened. We've had in the past someone hacked our website, and because of that, it was like, oh, it's redirecting customers to dangerous sites or something, and that like just make us invisible to the customer online. So Pixie gives us the ability to kind of pick up on that very fast because that I have to wait like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, something's definitely wrong at this point. 2 weeks of like no phone calls. So Pixie helps us with that. It also helps us identify top talent locally, which is great. It also shows the different demand for different services. And it gives you kind of like analytics to it for when it's the peak, when it's the lowest demand, so you can shift and focus your marketing dollars accordingly. Um, and yeah, I mean, their main thing other than that is showing, giving you visibility online versus on AI platforms, if it's Gemini or ChatGPT, etc. So huge, huge boost.
Love it. So I heard a few things. Number one, of course, visibility and AI search. That's just kind of what Peaksy is known for doing, right?
Mhm.
So pay per click is really kind of beginning to phase out, and everyone's doing AI search. So what are you doing to be searchable by how people are consuming information nowadays? That's one. The second thing that I heard is it helps you measure demand empirically to see what exactly are customers buying locally in your area, and
Mhm.
are you receiving that kind of the same volume to see if there's anything that you need to tweak the levers. Now, here's the interesting thing about talent. I'm curious because you're so talent focused. What have you found most useful about Peaksy when it comes to helping you identify talent?
So Pixie typically will show you, it will give you like scores per technician based off of basically like the reviews they're getting online. Um, and so sometimes we'll identify certain people that maybe worked in companies that some of my guys in the past have worked in, or they know people that work in there. And so for me, it's very fun. I get to kind of like, oh, who's this guy? Interesting, And I kind of start asking around, like, hey, anyone know anything about this guy? And like, yeah, he's actually pretty good, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Give me his number, I'm like, hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? So even if it's like not right now, you just kind of give people a little nudge, plant that seed. And then, who knows, down the line they get bought out by private equity or something, and they're like, okay, let me try and find something else. They go on Indeed, they see us, like, oh, I remember this guy actually reached out to me. Let me find his number real quick. And then they text me back months later or a year later, and that's kind of, I like planting seeds. Like I said, I'm all about the long term, There's no rush.
Love it. So it gives you kind of a draft or recruiting list. And again, it's also empirical because, we all know in trades like Google reviews are king, but also they rank technicians and Peakzi like aggregates all of that stuff and points you based on data who are the top guys in your area. And I think that's really
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Um, cool. So anything else about Peakzi before we start to kind of close things out here, Ari?
yeah. I've identified that a lot of the top performers that Peakzi has kind of found are actually my own technicians. So to all the competition out there, good luck.
I love it. Oh, that's great. Okay. Well, a couple questions here for you. Since this is so talent heavy, let's say that there is a technician here listening to you right now. What's your pitch to them? Why should they come work for you?
Well, I was trying to put myself in the other person's shoes. If it's the customer, if it's the employee, I can tell you that I've always been someone that try to be the best version of myself. I always try to be like the top performer. I'm very competitive as well. And in past jobs of my own, when I, worked under somebody, sometimes I just felt like, man, if I had someone that actually really supported me and worked with me and not just bark orders at me and like leave, I feel like I would grow so much more. My original goal going into kind of the workplace or in general was my goal was always to be someone's right hand man. Like I was like I am. This is when I was like 22 years old. I was so hyped to go get a job. I'm like, man, I'm going to be the best right hand man. I mean, absolutely, like my boss is going to love me. And then I come to find out that a lot of bosses that just don't care. They're not trying to be the best they can be. They don't have that ambition. That pays the bills, they make money, they're kind of satisfied and taken care of, and they really just focus on retirement. Like that's kind of their goal. They just can't wait to hit retirement, or they just can't wait till 5 o'clock so they can go home. That's not how I am. If you want to crank and you want to hustle, I'm down to crank and I'm down to hustle too. I'm all about it. I love this stuff. This stuff, like, I don't need vacations. You know what I mean? Like, this is basically my hobby. I'm fueled up. And if someone is fueled up and they're like, hey, this is my go time, let's get it. I'm here for you. You tell me what you need, and we're going to make it happen. I'm here to create the environment for you to grow the most. That means if it's developing yourself as a leader, as an individual, as a professional, we try and create an environment where you can make the most amount of money you've ever made in our organization. I'm all about incentivizing. I'm all about sharing. I'm not greedy. I don't have to get rich off every job. But I'm here to give you every tool you need. I mean, you tell me any. Say you need a new van, I get you a new van. You say you need more tools, we'll get you new tools. You want a different uniform, I'll get you a better uniform. Whatever you think you need to be at your 100%, I'm here for it all the way, no exceptions.
Love it. I think that's a great clip and something that you should use for recruiting for sure. So that kind of message will attract the type of person that you are, someone who's really passionate, who wants to make a real impact and build a real meaningful career in the trade. So I appreciate that message, Ari. So looking into the future. So what's the long-term vision? A lot of changes, including the rebrand, but you have no signs of slowing down. So what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind for your community, your family, your team? Tell us all that.
We want to be the go-to company, number one in the area. Like we want to be to the point where if you're talking to your neighbor and he's like, man, do you know a good anything, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, anyone? And he's like, dude, if you don't go with Three Guys, you're doing something wrong. Like you are just missing the mark. We're really trying to be that company. We're trying to be that guy. Um, we want to be where if someone shows up to a job interview and on their resume it says Three Guys, they're good. They're really good. You know what I mean? That's like they graduated Harvard, you know what I mean, on their resume. We just want to be where someone can feel very confident and know that calling us is the best decision they can make. Um, and I mean, yeah, I mean, On the other hand, competition wise, like I said, I love competition. If someone's calling, around for multiple quotes and you're giving a quote for, at a customer's house and you see our van pull up, just pack up your stuff and leave. You're wasting your time.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love the inspiration. I love the vision, the confidence, the welcoming of the healthy competition. So I think that's all really awesome. So Ari, this has been really fun getting to know you, man. Share with our viewers and our listeners how to connect with you on the website, follow you on social, connect with you. Tell us all that.
Perfect. So with the rebranding, our new website is the number three gmt.com. So Three Guys Master Tradesmen. On that, we have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Right now, it's still under Three Guys AC and Electrical. So you can find us there. I'm sure if you look up Three Guys AC and Electrical, you'll find us on Google, potentially also on Omni, right? So on AI with Peakzi, we should be showing up there as well. Yeah, not hard to find us, honestly. That's kind of like one of the big things we try and do is be very visible online. So you should be able to find us pretty easy.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to have all that contact information in the show notes. So, all right, this was a lot of fun. Wishing you continued success in all that it is that you do.
Thank you, Julian. You too.
And everyone else, thanks for tuning in for today's episode. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Home Services Success Stories podcast, powered by Peakzi, the #1 AI platform for growing your home services business.